Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, everyone. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our prayer today is from Romans. I want us to help each other with the faith we have. Your faith will help me, and my faith will help you. And we have our dog this morning, Commissioner Kukowski.
Come on, little guy. Come on. All right, who here is going to take this dog home on Saturday? He will be available then. He's a Jack Russell Terrier. He's about 3 years old. He was a stray. Come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and take him home. He'd make a great pet. He's got a lot of energy. Take walks with you all summer long. We have about 30 dogs to pick from, so if you're not into Jack Russells, we have a lot of cute dogs. I know because I stopped there yesterday on the way back from a vacation of a road viewing, and we have lots of dogs to pick from, so come adopt one for us. Thanks.
Madam Clerk.
We have the presentation today on the case management system joint project with the common courts of the common pleas, domestic, probate, prosecutor, and clerk of courts. I'm not sure who's going first. I guess Tom.
Clerk of Courts, Mr. Orlando.
I want to thank everyone on the board for giving us an opportunity to come over and kind of catch up to speed on where we're at. All of the divisions from the Justice Center that are based in the Justice Center, the General Division of the Common Pleas Court, the Domestic Relations Division, the Probate Division, Lorain County Prosecutor's Office, Lorain County Clerk of Courts. We're all kind of behind the times on our technology. And I'd say sometime mid last year, we all got together and started talking about where our systems are as far as case management. And we're all pretty much running on different systems. They're not integrated with each other. There's a lot of redundancy going on in the justice system because of that. And because we all had a need at this present time, we felt that rather than go solo, it would be smart for us to work together as a county justice system to look and investigate a new case management system. So what we did was we developed a governance structure, and we put together basically an executive committee which consists of myself as the Clerk of Court, Judge Frank Janik from Domestic Relations Division, Judge James Walther from Probate Court, Judge Mark Betleski from the General Division, and Lorain County Prosecutor's Office, Dennis Will. Rather than hiring an outside consultant, which a lot of counties have done to research a case management system and progress forward, we decided that we were going to try to save money and perform these duties in-house. So the Chief Deputy of the Clerk of Court from our legal division, who also serves as our Human Resources Director, Elisa Liu, became our project manager. And again, this added no cost to the process. We then selected 3 individuals. Each division selected 3 individuals to represent them on our case management team to start the process of investigating what the best route was to take. Part of that is going to be having a change control board, which will, we basically designed a structure for policy between the divisions when changes need to be implemented to the computer infrastructure. If a division needs to alter a configuration of a server or networking device, the change will be presented to the board, and the board will consider possible outcomes of the change. Communication will be key if this is successful. So for the general division, Tim Luby, the court administrator, will be on the change control board. For the clerk of courts, our staff attorney, Kate Lenz, and our IT director, Rich Barrett. Domestic Relations Division will be Jody Barilla and Mike Patarella. Prosecutor's Office, George Koury and Brian Michaels. And Probate Court will be Judge Walther and Ernie Smith. A lot of the counties have also brought in negotiators to help them through, whether it's through the Justice Center or through the Board of Commissioners. We are going to put together a contract negotiating team. The elected officials will most likely be part of that, along with members of their division, and hopefully we get support from the board when we get to that point. Some of the reasons why we're investigating a new case management system. The Lorain County Justice Center is running on 4 different case management systems across 5 departments. Most systems are old and have failed to keep up with changing technologies. Where applicable, we need the ability to interface electronically, as this process creates a faster system that minimizes opportunities for mistakes. We also need the ability to expand access to public records and still be able to manage statutory requirements for privacy. We want to avoid any disruption or outage in service. Now, for my division, when we talk about the need to eliminate any possibilities of outage of service, we currently use in the Lorain County Clerk of Courts, which also serves the general division and the domestic relations division of that court. The juvenile system has a separate case management system, which I can tell you, as a former bailiff in domestic relations, is a real headache for everybody involved, because you literally have to print 2 different dockets every day. They don't mirror each other, so whoever's inputting the cases set for trial or hearings has to input them in both systems. Then when you post your dockets for the attorneys, for the public, you have to have 2 different dockets posted, and it's really as inefficient as you can imagine. The current system we have right now is Court Track, and it's basically a dead case management system, and here are a few reasons why. Currently, there are only around 4 common pleas courts and clerk's offices across the state using Court Track. Lorain County is the largest. In 2012, CourtView, another case management system company, acquired Court Track from GBS. CourtView employs only 1 former GBS Court Track support specialist who handles the majority of our help desk calls. This leaves us vulnerable when this individual is not available. Also, CourtView does not promote or sell Court Track. If you go to CourtView's website, as we listed there, Court Track isn't even on there. Software applications and operating systems that are necessary for use of Court Track are rapidly approaching or have already exceeded end of sales, end of support, and end of life dates. We are approaching the limits of what configurations are supported as defined by CourtView and Microsoft. Our collections process, which we are really putting a lot of emphasis on now in the office, is very cumbersome and not cost effective. Collection of court costs is an important statutory duty of the clerk. And right now we have quite a few bugs in the Court Track system, and some of those are really hampering some of our collections. In order for us to send our collections down the Attorney General's office, Rich Barrett, my IT director, is constantly creating end-arounds to get through these bugs. Our last group that we had to send down for domestic relations took Rich a lot of time, took the collections department a lot of time, and it's forcing them to do a lot of this work manually. As I go into our next division, we're going to talk about the prosecutor's office. We're going to have Chief of Staff George Koury present their needs for a new case management system.
We'll give you 1 hour, George.
No, we won't.
I'm going to make it easy. You received this by email, correct, yesterday?
Yes.
And you have a hard copy?
Yes, we do.
You have read that, I
Yes,
assume?
we have.
And if you haven't, you wouldn't admit it? Then since we are pressed for time, I'm not going to read it for you. I'm just going to say this. We currently run through a COP system. The COP system is not only antiquated, but we have reason to believe that within about a year, it's no longer going to be in existence. But more importantly, there's no interaction capable through this system in any meaningful way of coordinating with any of the other systems in the Justice Center. That's number one. Number two, we can't get accurate data for reports, et cetera. So for instance, we have a juvenile division and we have a child support division that needs to interact with the domestic juvenile division of the court system. The only way we can get into that court view system, we have to pay a licensing agreement. We spend $14,000 a year just on the licenses to be able to get into their system. That's how inefficient this is. Next, there are case management systems out there that have been developed. Matrix seems to be like the one that people realize that has the capability of interaction directly between police departments and our office and defense counsel. From the standpoint of just discovery issues that we are bound to comply with nowadays, that system in and of itself is almost indispensable. I'm not suggesting there aren't others that might make proposals that would accomplish or accommodate all of those needs. But from our perspective, we need to develop or have available a system that provides that interaction between departments and with law enforcement agencies. And so from the standpoint of you reading through this, that's what you're going to glean from this for us. But we're at a point where individually, as an office, we are going to need to do something, and we're going to need to do it soon. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense not to do it in a comprehensive way, systemically, throughout the entire Justice Center system. And so, we're pretty eager to get this process going. Exactly how that process would have to be undertaken, I mean, I know I sent you over some Ohio Revised Code sections. Mm-hmm. And really, it's not a matter of reading them as much as it is taking a look at the process we're recommending, and that is to go out for proposals rather than the bidding process. And it has all that criteria there. It also has at the tail end of this, a negotiating process with that company who gets the highest score among everyone. Certainly from the commissioner's perspective, you'll be at the table. You'll be there through the process. Nothing can be done. No commitments can be made without you there. So it doesn't make sense, frankly, for us not to continue through this process, to at least see where it takes us, what we can afford to do, how we can afford to get it done. And it's either now or it's some other point. I mean, I'm concerned the Clerk of Courts office is literally just going to break down.
Well, I understand. I mean, especially what's happened in the city of Lorain in the past couple of years with the
Exactly.
collapse. Correct, I understand.
And let me just make one last statement. This is my editorial comment. I'm going to say this. I've been involved with this process from the beginning, and I'm going to tell you what, this group of people have worked their butt off to get this right. And we're still working through it, especially developing that objective criteria and how that point factoring system is going to work. And everybody is working very hard on a regular basis, not only from the standpoint of educating themselves relative to whatever information comes to us, but visiting other counties who have undertaken the same thing we have. And so for whatever that's worth, I will tell you that the effort has been more than just good faith.
It's good to see everybody on the same page.
Well, we're right there now. No, I'm kidding.
As of today.
Thank you, Mr. Koury. Okay, next we're going to have Judge Walther from Probate Court.
Well, thanks for having me. I'll tell a real quick story. In 1997, a young bushy-haired lawyer named Jim Walther and then Clerk of Court Don Rothgary flew to Atlanta, Georgia to see one of the very first e-filing systems in the bankruptcy court in Atlanta, 1997. So that's 19 years ago. And we thought, we're going to bring this technology to Lorain County. And now other counties, Wayne County and Ottawa County and other just really small counties are having this technology. We don't. You have, same thing what George said, you have what I printed out. The first three things are it. E-filing, e-payment, online marriage application process. That's what's going to do it for us. Those three things are going to bring huge efficiencies. I am probably, I'm in the unique position because I do the non-support cases. I do all the spin-off cases from the juvenile division. I use every single case management system. It drives my secretary nuts. You haven't used it on multiple case management systems. This is the first time since I've been here that we have all of these partners involved, that we have everybody that's involved in the justice system involved, and we're heading down that path. It's about time that we head down this path, and this is going to come sooner or later. It really needs to come sooner for us, especially with the issues with the court track that the general division and the domestic relations in the clerk's office face. Thank you. And I have to go.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Judge Walther. All right, next we're going to have Judge Frank Janik from Domestic Relations Court.
Can I brought my court administrator?
All right.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to start by explaining how the Domestic Relations Court is a rather unique animal. We have two dockets, a domestic docket, and you can think of that as divorces and custody cases that go along with divorces. Those records are kept by the County Clerk of Courts, Mr. Orlando. The other docket we have is the juvenile docket. And by law, we keep that docket and have a juvenile clerk's office. And you can think of that as the cases of juvenile delinquency, children's services cases, and custody cases unrelated to divorces. Those are kept, like I said, by our juvenile clerk's office. Those two systems that both Tom and I inherited are not only antiquated. The court view system that we have in the juvenile clerk's office is 17 years old. There have been some updates throughout those 17 years, but it is old. Tom's system, as he described to you, is GBS. So we literally, every day, I start out my day looking at two dockets, one from a GBS court system and one from a court view system. I can't tell you the headaches that and inefficiencies that causes, and certainly to have these two computer systems speaking to each other or have the same would just simplify and make our life more organized and efficient. Not only that, but you can think of as you project that in cases where our assignment commissioners on every case on a daily basis have to look at two systems, because when you enter a juvenile case into the system, you have to look at the domestic system to see if there's a conflicting case that's scheduled on that same time and date. So you literally, our clerks and our assignment commissioners are having to look at two different systems and dockets just to merely schedule something. It is very inefficient and something that needs to be corrected. And we are working together to do that. There are many other inefficiencies, and I have brought my court administrator here to assist me in describing those to you, and I'll hand it over to Jody Burrell, our court administrator.
Thank you. Yeah, as Judge Janik indicated, we had the Supreme Court of Ohio came a few years ago to kind of just review our operations and give us some pointers. And one of the things that they noticed, which is really ultimately tied to the two case management systems we operate under, is that we have a number of duplication of services, a lot of duplication of work, because as he indicated, the assignment commissioners wind up every time they schedule a case having to go into both dockets, and that's just one area of it. The other thing that that we deal with is document management. So, I mean, obviously, courts are very document intensive. That results in a lot of records retention, a lot of storage out at the Gates building. It's a more efficient system. Our system isn't able to do this now. The e-filing, the e-notices of hearings, the just the data configuration and the database management. We have, because our current version of CourtView is not able to handle all the data that we require for all the grants that we have, successfully applied for and have to manage. We have a number of different databases where that information is being entered there and then also having to be entered into CourtView. Again, more duplication of services. So just a more efficient document management system under the newer case management systems would be huge for efficiency. In addition to that, just continuity of operations. If we had, if a disaster struck, heaven forbid, whether it was a huge one like a tornado that wiped out the building or something smaller like a fire or water or whatever, under our current system, as far as getting back up and running, could be pretty cumbersome. A newer system would, with it being web-based, cloud-based, restoration of services would be a lot quicker. So that would definitely decrease our costs as far as the direct cost of restoring operations, as well as just the loss of productivity of our employees. And then, the juvenile clerk's office, like the Lorain County Clerk of Courts, is obviously responsible for collecting costs as well, generating that revenue. Our current system, like their system, is pretty cumbersome. So a more efficient, better system would just increase those revenue collections. And then our current system is not configurable. So anytime that we need to make changes to try to improve any efficiency we can, our vendor charges a fee for that. Where the newer systems allow our IT staff to make those changes, which, would obviously decrease those costs as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Janik and Administrator Barilla. All right, some of the goals that we've set for our case management team. We're going to attempt to find a vendor with a solution for all of the departments. The system shall have the ability to interface between all departments to enhance efficiencies, have electronic filing, document imaging, goal to become 100% paperless, it's a goal, file discovery and evidence electronically, streamline workflow, quickly provide information to other government agencies and the public. There was a lot of talk about e-filing today. Electronic filing is a necessity for our court and our Clerk of Courts office as we're looking for new efficiencies in our operations. It will allow case documents to be received, processed, and considered by the judges more rapidly. There will be no delay caused by misplaced paper files. Also, attorneys and filers can file cases and subsequent pleadings from anywhere. Case information is immediately available and will have automated docketing. Docket imaging. Docket imaging allows immediate viewing of documents without producing the hard copy. Only one person can view a physical case file, whereas unlimited number of viewers or users can simultaneously receive, download, and/or print papers stored on digital technology. Public access. You can have a detailed case name lookup. You'll have online fillable forms. The public can search cases on which payments are due. They can pay multiple cases at a time, file on multiple cases at once, and there'll be better public access allows for less phone calls and the public entering into the building, which could also help it with any security issues that we may have. Some of our accomplishments to date. Our team members visited 5 different county courts to see potential systems that are up and running. Wayne County and Ottawa County both have Pioneer. Cuyahoga County has ProWare. Holmes County has CourtView 3. And Licking County has Amicus. So there are different vendors out there that are serving in Lorain County at the time. At this time, we are completing a request for proposal without hiring outside consultants, which we discussed a little bit earlier. Some of our findings. Lucas County recently purchased JWorks. JWorks is a division of CourtView. I mentioned CourtView 3 earlier. For a county our size, if they respond to our RFP as one of the proposals, most likely they will be doing that with JWorks. It's a new system under CourtView. They made that decision in September of last year. Lucas County paid $250,000 for 2 consultants to prepare the request for proposal. Again, we're doing this all in-house, so we're not paying consulting fees. They integrated the general division, the juvenile division, domestic relations, prosecutor's office, clerk of court, probation, and sheriff's office. They paid $5.7 million, which includes 5 years of maintenance. Lucas County's population is $436,000. Excuse me, 436,000 residents. Wayne County, they purchased Pioneer in February of 2014. Wayne County paid $700,000 for their new system. The court decided to go 100% paperless. And I talked to their clerk, Tim Neal, recently, and they are 100% paperless. All findings are electronic. All filings are electronic. As far as their open files, they contracted with local college students to scan all open cases over the summer. This expense was much cheaper than paying Pioneer to perform the scanning. Wayne County's population is 114,000 residents.
That's a pretty big gap from 5.7 million to 700,000.
Totally agreed. Now, as you can see, the population is much different, and it's like anything else. If you go to purchase a new car, I mean,
Bells and whistles.
you can buy what you need, exactly, or you can go a little farther. And they also pay $250,000 for consultants. So, from my understanding, their RFP was very restrictive, and Elisa, how many bids did they receive? I think only 3 or 4 companies bid on theirs. So, timeline goals: to complete an RFP, request for proposal, and have a final version ready for release to the public in the summer of 2016. What we'll do at that time is we want to hold a vendors conference. We'll have a response from vendors. We'll choose the top vendors, schedule vendor demos, begin negotiations with the top-rated vendor, complete negotiations, and then enter into a contract. And as George Koury mentioned earlier, we want the commissioners to be part of this every step of the way. I know Commissioner Lundy has attended a few of our meetings, which we're very grateful for, and he's had a lot of input as well. But we're trying to create a process that's not only efficient, but transparent too. The easiest thing for any of our departments we could have done is just maybe upgraded with the current system that we had. It would have required no request for proposal, and who knows what type of deal you're getting at that point. We realized very early on, after all the departments started meeting, we're all paying our own maintenance fees. And just by having us meeting, one of the departments realized that they were overpaying for their maintenance fees and brought the vendor in and cut their maintenance fees significantly just by having that discussion and pointing out what other departments were paying. So we're really opening up the hood here, and we're going to find out, exactly what these companies have to offer. And like I said, we want a system that is as transparent as possible. Potential non-general funds to be contributed, and I'm sure this is a very important page for the Board of Commissioners, and I can respect that. I'm going to bring George Koury from the prosecutor's office back up. He wants to expound a little bit on this issue, and also some of the necessities and statutes that are involved with the RFP process.
Okay, I already did part of that relative to the RFP process. What we tried to do here was take a look at those restricted funds that any of the departments currently receive relative to computer fees, et cetera. Now, our department does not, so that's why you don't see anything there for us. And look at what currently is being spent. Now, it's really difficult to look at those categories of expenditures currently being made by those departments that have those, I call them enterprise funds, that are restricted for particular use, computers, for example. And look at that and say, now how much might otherwise be available from that pot once we have a system in place? Well, you're not gonna really know all of that might otherwise be available until you get the proposals in. Certainly, that's gonna eliminate some cost categories. Because presumably, whatever we negotiate is gonna be all interwoven into one cost. Now, there may be some certainly ongoing maintenance fees, that's a part of the maintenance, that's a part of the negotiating process. Then you would look at that in relationship to the amount of money they receive and what they may not be obligated to pay anymore. This is kind of the best estimate. But that can change, and it can change dramatically depending how the negotiating process otherwise evolves. But certainly there's going to be money there on an ongoing basis. And I say that looking at Matt, like when I'm normally talking with Joe Kazura, a former legislator, assuming that the state legislative group of human beings doesn't make any more substantial changes in what we understand those statutes to otherwise say and allow for the courts to generate. So that's about as specific as we can be, but there will certainly be funds available on an ongoing basis, at least based on what we know now. And that number could go up and down, or down, depending on how the negotiating process goes. But as we're going through the negotiating process, we're gonna presume that somebody who is a representative of this board is gonna be a part of that.
Right.
And we will be going through those things specifically as we're all evaluating what decision we may make here regarding that top-rated vendor, or if you can't negotiate the correct price, a price we can live with the top-rated vendor, and you've completed that, then you can go down to the second vendor and go through a process, and then otherwise proceed in a fashion where we all feel good that we received a comprehensive computerization process for the system and one that we can live with from a financial perspective. That's the idea.
You like the idea of the Lucas County approach, wrapping in a maintenance arrangement, maybe at least for the first 5 years as well?
But that's a process we would
Yeah.
undergo in the negotiating
Right.
process, Matt. We'd look at what those
Yeah.
numbers are, we'd look at how much money we might be able to generate here. We'd look at, how much it's gonna cost, with, the underwriter might say from a bond perspective, what can we honestly afford? So you have in this proposal process, that flexibility
Yeah.
to go through those things. And then if we're short, and you're still negotiating with the top vendor, you go back to them and do what? How bad do you want the business?
Right.
This is what we can honestly afford, and this is what we need. We need you to go back and take another look at this and get us something a little bit better. That's kind of the real magic of this process,
Okay.
if that makes sense. As opposed to just going out for a bid and you just get a number and you don't have any real discussions. It doesn't work in this process, and that's why this legislation obviously exists, to give us this flexibility. Okay? And Jerry would be doing that.
No, Jerry will, like he doesn't have enough to do.
And in regards to that process too, we're gonna have a comprehensive scoring system. Our project manager, Elisa Liu, is working with the case management team, and it's gonna be very detailed, very defined. So those 3 members of each division will get a lot of information, presentation, be able to actually touch and feel these systems, not just a promise from somebody what it can or cannot do. So we feel, obviously, this is all taxpayer dollars, and we want to make sure the taxpayers are getting their money's worth if we do go ahead with a new system. We feel this is a great opportunity for us to have one justice system that can be integrated, and I think we can have a faster and more efficient justice system here in Lorain County. Commissioner Kalo brought up Lorain a little while ago. I just want to mention that we did reach out to Elyria, Clerk of Courts, and we met with them last year, I believe it was, and their IT director. They were already in the process of upgrading their current system, and I think there was no turning back for them. We have also reached out to Lorain, both to their judges and their Clerk of Court, and they have been actively attending our meetings. I know they're a separate entity, but they also realize, obviously, they have some issues with the system that they went with a few years back, and they are investigating possibly a new case management system. There can be a lot of integration between the Muni Court, especially with the bindovers that come over. A lot can be done electronically there. And quite frankly, you have economies of scale, too. You know, if we're in negotiations with the company that they really like as well, you know, maybe both Lorain Muni Court and the justice system, Lorain County, could get, you know, a better price. But they have been actively involved, and we welcome them from the beginning, and we'll see where that road takes us. Any questions from the board?
I guess I just wanted to stress you know, I've had this conversation before with the group indicating that obviously we don't have the money to step up and pay cash. I talked with Ted about using his credit card. He said no. So, you know, we're going to have to look at the bonding, borrowing, make it all happen. But, you know, this is what happens in government. I know things have been deferred for a long time, and eventually you have to pay for it. I'm thrilled that everybody's working together on it. But we'll have to continue to work together to work through the process and, you know, figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah, it's truly a double-edged sword. You know, we can't afford to do it, but then again, we can't afford not to. It's important that we can all talk to each other, just like we're trying to do with our safety forces with the New World system, and trying to get that up and running has been a challenge, and this will be a challenge, I'm sure, as well.
Well, the good thing about the New World, we have levy dollars. for
Right,
that.
yeah.
So can I ask a couple questions on the financing?
Sure.
That money right now is not being deployed anywhere?
Well, like I can speak for my office, the Clerk of Courts office. I'm paying $55,000 a year for our maintenance fees for Court Track to Courtview. So I know that I at least have that much available, with all things staying the same as far as court filings, to put into this. As Matt mentioned, you know, Lucas County baked in their first 5 years of maintenance fees into their cost. And I think it's pretty similar for the other divisions as well.
So the $185,000 would come from current maintenance fees. We would defer the maintenance fees into the purchase of the software, and then we would finance the software.
I think, you know, Jim, that's probably a little bit far ahead from where we're at right now. That could be, you know, something that's negotiated. And one thing that could happen is...
It's an interesting concept.
Well, it is, right. And one thing that could happen, since we are all together, our maintenance fees may go down. I mean, that may be part of our negotiation with the new company, that, you know, we're all paying these separate maintenance fees now. By coming together, the economies of scale, we're hoping that we can have a good negotiating chip with those.
Did Lucas County finance the maintenance fees into their purchase of their software?
I believe for the first 5 years, they were put into their...
Were they able to, and this just stops me having to call Lucas County.
Sure.
Were they able to get a 20-year bond on software?
That we're not sure.
You know, usually, and George, you've been down this road, usually you have to demonstrate a life expectancy with regard to why somebody would buy bonds. It's really hard to sell bonds to somebody, something that's going to be obsolete in 12 years, and ask them to take a 20-year bond on it. Normally, software platforms are supported for about 10 years, guaranteed by the vendor. I think it's planned obsolescence by them, and we've run into some of that stuff at the Justice Center already with some of the electronics and things that we have in place where the platforms became unsupported at 10 years. So it's just something we have to think about with regard to being able to pay debt service. I have a bad feeling that we're going to have a shorter term bond in 20 years.
Yeah, and Jim, you may be right. I think that also falls into the negotiation stage. A lot of these companies, you know, obviously technology changes very quickly. We're all seeing that. And I think in the last probably 20 years, it's changed faster than it has in the last 100 years. I mean, things are changing fast with technology. Part of the negotiations could be that we end up contracting with a software company that will allow us to grow as their technologies grow. And if we did something like that, that could take us into a 20-year type of agreement, to where anything that they develop over those 20 years, that we are bought into that already initially. So as those developments occur, we can grow with them. So
They're interesting concept, Tom. I just know when I go to the rating and do the rating presentations, the sell becomes really important on being able to get the financing. So we really need to talk a lot about that. But they're very interesting concepts. I hadn't really thought about doing that. I never financed my homeowners insurance into my mortgage, but, you know, maybe that's what the future holds.
Well, consider this an open invitation if the court has any part of it, because we'd love to bring your expertise to the table, so.
Sounds great, Tom.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, this goes back when we first started meeting in '07 or '08, that this system, and getting everybody together was quite an accomplishment. Thank you. It's been ongoing. But again, hopefully within the RFP has enough. I hope you copied other RFPs that came out from the other counties who did have consultants at $250,000 to help along the way, because my Pardon me?
Supreme Court also.
Okay. Well, they didn't do so well with the one they recommended to Lorain, if I recall, so.
The RFP is good.
Huh?
The RFP was good, the decision was not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you know, my best work always comes from the work of others. So,
And by the way, that's one of the reasons why this has been delayed too, because.
You have to use the mic. We're getting in trouble. You have to use the microphone.
You're not at the microphone, George.
Sorry, George.
But just so you know, the Supreme Court for years had been stating that they wanted to develop a system that would otherwise be utilized statewide by all the court systems and justice-related systems. And so much of, like for us with cops and other things, we all kind of took a step back and was seeing whether or not there would be a statewide system. And obviously that hasn't happened, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for the Supreme Court, but all the information I have is they've essentially abandoned that project as being something that is.
well, it's the same thing with the software we're doing with the police departments right now. We're gonna connect the four corners of Lorain County, but we're not connected with the four corners of the state of Ohio. Because they have not centralized a software platform for all of the law enforcement departments, and there's many, just how many just in Lorain County
Right.
to be able to talk to. So while we may be able to talk from Avon Lake now to Wellington when we're done, we can't talk to Mansfield.
Same issue
same
with
way.
elections equipment. We're asking the state of Ohio to come up with one plan.
It's really
So
unfortunate.
everybody's on the same platform just to save costs, and there's some, continuity throughout the system. When you've got 5 different systems throughout the state, and one goes down and bugs, and who backs up what, we end up with issues. So we're trying to defer some of that also, to where there's some responsibility and a recommended product to bring down, which could take forever with our state legislature, as you stated, George.
Thank you very much for allowing us to come and present.
Good to see you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Then go back to work.
Judge Betleski, nothing?
Nothing.
Good job, Tom.
Since we're working cohesively with the Clerk of Courts, Mr. Orlando was going to do the presentation, but I was here for any questions.
And we've been getting along so well, so
I know. I told him I was the ace in the hole, but I figured they didn't need to play it.
If it's okay with the board, Madam Clerk, I was going to ask if we could jump to item number 14.
Approve the enterprise zone tax abatement agreement with the Village of LaGrange and WRS Management Group LLC and West Roofing Systems, Inc. for a 16,000 square foot building to house its office, operation and warehousing for consolidation and expansion of its product lines and make improvements to existing building. New buildings shall be constructed at 315 Commerce Drive East. Minimum amount of new real property investment is $1,415,000 to a maximum of $1.625 million. New full-time job is a 6. Abatement is 10 years on real property with a 75% abatement.
Okay, I see Mr. Good here today, our Economic Development Specialist.
Good morning.
Morning.
And
Jerry.
I'm Jerry Good.
Jerry Good.
Economic
I don't know what I
Development
said, yeah.
Coordinator for Lorain County. I'm very pleased to have with me this morning Jack Moore, who's the president of West Roofing Systems, Inc.
I did. It's all corrected.
Most proud of the fact that they purchased the company. Many of the people that have worked for the company for many, many years purchased this company 2 years ago. They have their headquarters here in Lorain County, in LaGrange, but also have a facility in Georgia. So when contemplating where to make the investment, it's good to see they're making the investment here. They have went through all the proper channels per the Ohio Revised Code as necessary to do school notifications. They have entered into school agreements. The 75% for 10 years includes school agreements. Keystone Schools will get $68,827 and JVS will get $5,420 over the term of the agreement. So I just asked Jack to come this morning, give you a little idea of what they're doing in LaGrange, and I'll introduce Jack.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time. We've been in business since 1979 and have had a steady growth over those years. The past 5 years has seen significant growth. We've kind of found our niche and re-honed our business plan for growth. When we acquired the business 2 years ago, we established goals. We've met those goals the past 2 years, but with those seeding growth, we need more space. So currently we occupy 2 locations in LaGrange. One's on Commerce Drive West, one's on Commerce Drive East. A lot of inefficiencies there. We're no more room to grow at the one location. We literally couldn't put one more administrative person on. The other location is we've got people parking in the tree lawn and the road, and we're bulging at the seams. So it was, now that we're organized, we're looking to grow. We've acquired an adjacent property, so we're doubling our land from 2 to 4 acres. We're going to almost double the square footage of building from 10 to an additional 16,000 square feet. So the project's looking like, pacing ourselves for the 15, 20 years that we want to continue to grow as the corporate headquarters that we've established locally, and I think have a pretty solid foundation in the community, and we want to stay here, and any help you guys can afford would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
We enjoy working with you, and obviously want to see your business grow and be successful. Could you drill down a little bit, give us more of an explanation? It says here new full-time jobs would be 6, what those jobs may entail, what they would pay, range, things of that nature when they're coming on board over the next 10 years?
Well, the jobs will be on board. There's 2 each year in the first 3 years of the contract with the agreement. And of course, I want to thank you for working towards the changes that we requested to make sure.
Certainly.
The tax abatements don't really sit well all the time with the public, so we're very keenly aware of executing them with a certainty that there's going to be a reason for them. But I did not ask, and maybe I should have anticipated what the wages usually would be for those type of jobs.
I don't have the exact number off.
It don't have to be exact.
It's in there, but basically, to answer your question, is on the conservative side, I'm certain from my field staff, I'm looking at adding 2 additional full-time roofers annually. They start out at a base rate of $14 an hour. So on a 2,000 hour a year, it's about $28,000 times 2, then times that over the 3 years. That's conservative. At our growth rate, I think we're going to do better than that. And again, those are seasonal full-time positions. As we grow into this, I think we're going to have some additional growth in the administrative level, full-time office staff that's going to come through that growth for support.
You do realize that we've changed it from seasonal full-time to permanent full-time.
My bad. We talk internally, and then the state, and then the ACA defines things differently, and full-time equivalents.
Well, we talk about full-time.
Okay.
Permanent.
Right.
That's a 2,080 hour a year job.
Correct.
And I want to be assured of this because I sent this agreement back about 4 times to our community development department to tighten up the language. We've had misunderstandings before, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I apologize. That's not usually what I like to do, but I thought, I'm looking at my directors back there, I thought we had a firm understanding of what we required.
That's my fault for language that I use internally.
Okay, great.
I was completely understood the intent of the 2,080 hours, and that is not a problem. It's an internal
I got you.
definition,
Understood.
so my
Understood.
bad. I understand.
Yeah, I just look for clarification. It's just really important to taxpayers, when they hear abatement, they want to make sure there's job creation.
Certainly.
Going with that, the whole idea is getting people back to work and, paying them a livable wage to be able to contribute back to the economy. And, we're always willing to help you grow in any way possible, and appreciate you bringing more people on board and helping make it possible for people to go to work.
I think we'll do well.
Hope so.
Appreciate your
Great.
investment in the community.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's brutal in here, isn't it?
Not at all.
Okay.
You guys are easy.
Thanks,
Okay,
thanks,
great.
thanks, Jack. Thank you, Jack.
Okay,
Okay.
we have a public
Would you like a
hearing.
motion
Oh.
to
I guess.
do this?
Yeah,
Motion.
yeah, make the motion to approve agenda item 14 here for the abatement.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if we can now move
Thank
to
you.
business item 2, our public hearing.
Linda Blanchette?
I'm always looking for roofers. I need to talk to him.
Yeah. Get him on your list.
That's right. He may already be. I'll have to check with Don. Okay, so this is the second public hearing for the CHIP grant. At the first public hearing, which was held on March the 23rd of 2016, it was to inform the citizens of Lorain County's eligibility to apply for the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Funds. The main purpose of this CHIP grant is to help low-income homeowners to remain in their homes, which in the long run benefits the community and it benefits the county. At the first public hearing, the commissioners and I informed the public of the county's intention to partner with the cities of Oberlin and Sheffield Lake. The partners have determined that Lorain County again will be the grantee for this application. This is the first CHIP grant application that the Ohio Development Services Agency has permitted an email questionnaire and ranking sheet in lieu of having a physical meeting. And this ranking sheet was looked over, and the activities submitted by the committee have been identified, and they're ranked to address the needs of the partnering communities. Because the state has moved the deadline for the CHIP application up again, by having this online system, we were able to move our process quicker. The total grant request for the partnership is $1,150,000. It is the same as our current CHIP grant that we have. The Lorain County Board of Commissioners proposes to utilize the requested funds if awarded, because this is a very, very competitive grant, to carry out the following housing activities in Lorain County, excluding the cities of Lorain, Elyria, and Vermilion. Lorain and Elyria have their own funding source. Vermilion is now a part of Erie County's process. That was determined by the state of Ohio. I did not choose that. The city of Oberlin and the city of Sheffield Lake will also be utilizing these funds in our partnership. The first activity is private owner rehabilitation. We're applying for $650,500. Approximately 19 homes will receive housing rehabilitation assistance, of which 7 will be in Lorain County, 7 in Oberlin, 5 in Sheffield Lake, again excluding Lorain, Elyria, and Vermilion. 3 of these projects will be funded by home program income dollars. That money is when we do a rehab project for a homeowner. Possibly they sell the home within 5 years, they die, we recapture that money, then we have to do another project with that money. So we will be doing 3 additional projects with those funds. In order to qualify for private owner assistance, applicants must be the owners of single-family owner-occupied residential structures, and we place loans on these projects. They are made to the homeowners with a 0 interest and 0 payment. The loan amount decreases by 20% each year, and after 5 years is totally forgiven. The funding source for this private owner rehab is home funds. The home repair assistance activity, we're applying for $345,000. Approximately 28 homeowners will receive home repair assistance. with 3 of those homeowners receiving septic repair or replacement assistance. 10 of these home repairs will be completed in Lorain County, 9 in Oberlin, and 9 in Sheffield Lake. Qualifying homeowners must be the owners of single-family homes. They must be occupied and residential structures. Rental units are not eligible for home repair assistance. All of these improvements will be made with a grant, and the funding source is CDBG funds. The third activity is tenant-based rental assistance. We're applying for $16,500, and we're hoping to assist 21 families with this tenant-based rental assistance. This help is for first month's rent, security deposit, utility deposit. We have currently, in the grant we're working on now, we've served 30 families with assistance, so we've exceeded our goal. This assistance is in the form of a grant also, and the Lorain Metropolitan Housing Authority will again partner with us to provide this service. The funding source for this is home funds. The fourth activity and fifth are administration and fair housing. In the administration activity, we're applying for $134,000, and the administration is requested to reimburse the county for staff time dedicated to CHIP projects, and these funds may also be used to retain program consultants for the grant period. The funding source is CDBG and home dollars. Fair housing, we are applying for $4,000 to perform our fair housing activity, and the funding source is CDBG funds. All of these activities proposed will meet the national objective of benefiting low to moderate income families. Applications are due to the Ohio Development Service Agency Office of Community Development by May the 6th of 2016. I believe it's at 11:59. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone interested in commenting this morning, since this is our public hearing, our second CHIP hearing? Okay.
We're only required to have 2, right?
Correct.
3?
2 hearings, yes, 2 hearings.
Okay.
We will have a CDBG hearing in June.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Linda.
I need a motion to close the public hearing and then a motion to
So
approve
moved.
the request.
Okay.
Second.
So move to close the hearing.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
And then a motion to approve
The submittal of
the
that.
submittal of application.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, and board members, I would just ask, I know we got a busy agenda, and I know we have folks who probably need to get back to their communities and continue their leadership there. I wanted to see if we could, because of a couple of folks we have here, I know who'd like to get back to their duties, if we could go to item, I guess, number 23 first. And I see that we have trustee, well, Madam Clerk, if you'll read the number
Adjust the
20.
sanitary sewer service rates effective May 1st, 2016, and another increase in 2017.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I see that trustee Urig is here. Did you have anything that you wanted to comment on this morning? You would, if you'd please come up to the podium.
Comments on this is for the proposed rate increases on the county
David,
system.
up in the microphone.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is for that.
Yes.
Let's go on that. One question before I go further. I know we spoke about automatic increases, Jim.
Yes.
Has that been included in the final resolution?
It has, yes.
And would that be a 2 or a 3, or what did you?
I thought we had the CPI, the greater of, wasn't it? I haven't looked at it for a while. As an aside, just for public consumption, and I met with each affected township at the local level with the trustees. It was kind of new for us to do that, but we reached out and we had the meetings. There was some concerns from them with regard to I wouldn't say the cost, but how we applied the rate. Some of these communities are not as prosperous as one would believe. they asked if we could implement it in phases. And the Amherst Township sewer was one where it's fairly new. The city of Lorain provides some of the maintenance. We provide some of the maintenance, although it has 3 lift stations on it that are expensive to operate. So we were able to reach some agreement on reducing the cost that was associated with the increase on that. And then we came up with a plan.
Broadway Taylor?
Well, it's the Amherst, the Amherst Township sewer itself. down
We're in
58.
several sewer projects right now.
And then, of course,
There's
I came
Broadway.
back and spoke with the board, and you were agreeable to bifurcating the rate and applying it over a 2-year period. It gets us where we want to go a little slower, but I think it meets the needs of the community better. We went out, we had the meetings, and we listened, and we responded to the comments that were there. With regards to the accelerator, it is CPI, which shall be no less than 2%, no more than 3% to cover the cost.
And it'd been almost, 5 years since the last sewer increase?
Long time.
Yes. It's been
2010
actually
or
over
11.
that. We had an accelerator on the rate, but we didn't actually increase the rate
Correct.
in well over 5 years. If you have any questions on that, actually, Bob's here, but we couldn't just continue to operate under the revenue that we had. It was one of those things. But I did meet with all the affected communities at the local level, and while they were concerned, they generally understood that cost are cost, but just how it was applied.
I think there was a story in the paper today in Northeast Ohio, sewer management was looking at 9.5 for 10%.
Well, I hope they look a little lower because we have them over in Columbia
Yeah.
Township.
Dick too happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of activity over there, don't we, Dick?
I see this as 3 items that I'd like to comment on. One would be the proposed rates. 2 would be the automatic increases that are being proposed. And the third thing would be the effective date, which I feel is Monday, the 1st, May 1st. The new rates are going to go into effect. Okay, as far as the proposed rates, Jim was kind enough to come out to Amherst Township, explain it to us, give us a chance to digest it, at least as a board of trustees, and I appreciate that, and I thank him for that. I can understand there being a need, but still, if you look at the spreadsheet, my concern is some of the users, when you throw in the water usage with that, which goes with sewer, their rates are going to be approaching $100 a month. In all due fairness to Jim, these estimates are based on 4,500 gallons per month usage. There are people that use less than that, but still, the idea is it's getting expensive, and yes, it is approaching $100 a month. I'm a bottom feeder, and I'm not even in this, and I'm paying $70 a month. So that's just for water and sewer, things that you used to pay like $20, $30 for. But it's concerning. It's just what's the word I want? It's worrisome. We're in a captive system. People are in a sewer system. They have to use the sewer system. They don't have discretion. Well, if I don't want it, I'll just have it disconnected. You can't do that. Okay, you have to be in a system. You have to pay. You have no choice. Okay, and I'm concerned these rates get too high. Not only can't people afford it, you're going to create a disincentive for people to go into a sewer system. You need to try to sell a sewer system to people that, this really is cost effective. It's better than an aeration system. It's better than a septic system. It's better for the environment. But if you can't guarantee what the cost will be, if you can't guarantee what it's going to be 5 years from now, if it's like loan sharking. Get in. Once you're in, we're going to jack the rates up.
No, loan
How
sharking
can
is
you
taking advantage of people.
Right.
We're not taking advantage of people. Infrastructure costs a lot of money, as we all know.
It does. It does.
Everybody
And
likes to turn.
no one's asking for anything free, Matt.
Okay.
No one's. But it's
There's
these costs are getting up
associated
there.
with it. And
And I'd be
I
remiss
live
in
in
my-
Elyria. When I turn on the water or flush, there's not competitors knocking at my door wanting to run other lines or, pipes to my.
No one's asking
home.
for free. But what I'm saying is these rates are getting up there.
But we
it's
have
worrisome
5 years.
and it's.
Excuse me, David, you made some comments now, okay, and I've known you a very long time, we've
Yes.
worked together. But in regards to utilities, you know all the mandates we're under as government.
Oh.
Big part.
Okay, the EPA, the water quality issues would have just, blossomed in the last few years. So we have a certain responsibility that we keep our system up to date and operating properly, and you know there's a cost with that. Nothing stays the same, especially in regards to sewers. I think we're quite reasonable for what our charges are in regards. I live in the city of Lorain, and I pay significant water and sewer charges. And we're just trying to do a better job for our residents in regards to maintaining those sewers, because when they go bad, they go bad. If you don't upkeep and maintain, you're gonna put a nightmare down the road. So, when you're saying these things, yes, it's getting costly, but so are a lot of other things. And in regards to, as Commissioner Lundy said, when you flush the toilet, you want it to work and go somewhere. You don't want it in your basement or your neighbor's
No,
basement.
that
so.
you don't.
And we
And
spent a
time-
lot of time on this. It's been 5 years since we implemented new increases.
Yeah, let me make clear something here. No money comes from the sanitary engineers department into the general fund of Lorain County.
Right.
And in fact, in years gone by, we've had to loan them money to continue operating. We're only looking at revenue to operate the department, and we operated fairly lean, and Bob knows that, and a lot of us wear a lot of hats with regard to operating that department. And it's growing a little bit, but the money that comes in is used within that department. And if you look at, David, you're welcome to come down and look at the books. There's not an awful lot of money there, sitting there, that's growing and doing nothing, and we're not transferring any money out of that account. All that money will operate that department. I guarantee you that. The costs are the cost of operating the department.
And escalators tied to CPI is always, I think, a very reasonable and responsible approach.
I understand your concern about, having to pay for the services, and I also understand your concern, and we had these talks out in the township, but the costs are the cost. We're not making money on this.
My
And
concern,
Yeah.
well, the proposed rates, Jim, and I know
Sure.
we've had this conversation, as you said before, the rates in general, they're getting up there. And to say $100 for water and sewer is not out of the question. If it's not there, you can see it coming for that. And that's a lot for people,
I agree.
If it's slightly less than 100, it's $1,000 a year. If it's $100 a month, it's $1,200 a year. But this is just for water and sewer. Then you got to throw in property taxes or rent or something else just to live somewhere. And
Well, David,
if you
let
don't
me-
have, if you're on a tight budget,
Sure, but let me
these
ask you-
become
Let me ask you,
burdensome.
how's it supposed to be paid for? I
No.
hear you. So
No,
I'm going to ask you, how is it supposed to be paid for?
Do it as efficient as possible, Jim.
We are.
You can't do anything for free. I understand that. I understand that.
I'm offering for you to come in and look at the department books and see what we do. I respect your position completely, but I'm indicating to you that every dollar in this department goes to fund this department. You're welcome to come in and look at the budget. So I realize it's getting expensive, but if you have another method of being able to raise revenue for the department to be able to provide these services, I'm open to any suggestion.
Yeah, Plus,
Fair?
there are no
Okay.
cost increases for a long window of time, and, eventually, you got to be able to support the system. And as Commissioner Kalo pointed out, I know when I was in Columbus, all we kept talking about is they want to make sure everything is clean before it hits a lake, and everything's done properly and processed properly, and costs money to do that. And that's, if folks only knew how bad the infrastructure is in this country, or even in this county overall,
I think anyone in local
government.
government, once they've worked with things for a
Yeah,
while, they understand infrastructure, they understand possibly 100-year-old water lines on Dewey Road,
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. They're out there. They're
You
out
remember
there.
when we did Broadway?
underst-
We did the Broadway Taylor. So remember we had
understand.
sewage in the ditches.
Right.
Stories that some places, some cities have wood water lines, I understand. But that's my concern. My concern is for the amount of the increase. The automatic increases, I I think I'm disagreeing with maybe Matt and Jim. You make it an increase automatic. There's no guarantee the user's income is going to go up by that amount or it's going to go up at all. So as a result, they're going to have to, you could be creating a situation where a user is going to see a de facto decrease in their disposable income because they're going to have to shift it to their water and sewer bills because it's increasing and their wages aren't, or their income is not. It also precludes any future review. If to say yes or no to a rate increase, at least invite public opinion, because the rates will be increasing to 2 to 3%.
We did indicate that we would review the rate in 5 years. And look at it and look at the increases in 5 years. So that's in there.
I'm just concerned, if you have stable rates, you can budget for it, whether it's water, whether it's sewer. I know speaking with the rural water, that came up. Rural water wanted these annual increases. Well, it's difficult to budget when you don't know what
the funny part is
it's difficult to make out a budget, particularly if you're on a fixed income, if you do not know, what the cost of your utilities are going to be the next month. You just don't. Most
people are more agreeable to paying for clean water than they are to get rid of their sewage. So they're more palatable to increases in water rates than they are sewer rates. But I will tell you that I'd love to give them a stable rate. The rates would have to be higher now so that I can pay for what it's going to cost in 5 years. Right? So, one way or another, it's going to be similar money. We either raise the rates now and we collect a little more than we need to smooth that out over 5 years, or we generally pick up, when our increases go up, we pick it up each year. We've extrapolated those costs out as best we can from historic data that suggests what the increase is going to be. There are going to be increases. The cost of treating sewage today is going to cost more in 5 years. We know that. Right. So we either set the rate now and build it in now so that we're collecting enough in 5 years, or we put a small escalator clause on it. Either way, though, the dollars are going to be the same, except that we'll collect them later rather than right now. A lot of times you'll see some of the bigger districts, they set their rate for 5 years, but they're collecting more money in the first 2 or 3 years, and then they're smoothing that out in the 4th and 5th year before they raise rates again. Either way, it's still the same amount of money. Sorry, David.
And Dave, we spent a lot of time looking at these and figuring out numbers, and by discussions with the trustees that we bifurcate the increases over 2 years and take a little bit short on the beginning to still do our job. So I think we've been very attentive to the issues and the needs that were brought up, because the trustees represent our residents. And I understand what you're saying, but we still have to treat sewage.
Okay. Third item I'd like to comment on would be the timing of the effective date of the proposed rate increases. As it stands, should you pass the resolution today, it'll be effective on Monday. Really, it doesn't give the residents time, the users time to react. I presume it'll be in the paper that should you pass it, that a rate increase was passed, and then look at the effective date. Oh, this will be effective Monday. I would think there should be a little bit more leeway. I know Jim was out, talked to us. We knew it was coming, at least as a board, but how people out in the general population, whether they really didn't know that this is coming down. They may have heard something, but they didn't know exactly what's happening. I think once you pass it, if you could give a little more leeway on that, a little more lead time, maybe instead of having it effective May 1st, have it effective at least at the minimum June 1st, so people have time to react.
I don't see a problem with that. I will tell you that it was supposed to be April 1st.
Right.
And your administrator was a bit slow getting everything done. But, you know, a difference of a month is not going to,
At least give people time to react, so people know it's coming down, so they don't go out and get their next sewer bill and see it's gone up and say, well, what the heck happened? At least should you pass this, you can say, hey, the rates are gonna go up, they're gonna go up effective June 1st. And, you know, tell people, you know, you can start looking after June 1st, your rates are gonna go up. Give them time to react, give them time to get over the sticker shock. And and from your standpoint of public relations, standpoint is it doesn't
David, you
appear
won.
that you're just trying to do something quick.
David, you won. I was once told by a lobbyist in Washington, D.C., when you get to yes, you should stop talking.
Sort of like sales, Jim. When she says yes, you stop talking and write the order.
Those were my 3 comments. It's just on
Thanks,
the rates, the automatic increases, and the timing. That's all.
Remember that
very
lesson,
much.
Ted?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. David Ashenhurst, long time no
David and
see.
David.
Long time no see. David Ashenhurst, Oberlin. The item is not very detailed, so I don't know what all is in this and how much of this is covered. But I guess there are 2 things I want to ask. One is there any place in the county where rates, where we have something like a Public Utilities Commission at the county level? Because I'm listening to a discussion of sewer rates that don't apply to me, and I heard about Lorain sewer rates, but it's very hard for people to find out, you know, where we are on stuff when every jurisdiction has its separate rates.
The answer is no. Under the Ohio Revised Code, whether it be a 6119, a municipality, each entity is able to control the cost structure within their responsibility area.
I understand that, but I'm also thinking when they make rate adjustments, they're looking at what's around them. I just wondered if there was any place to get that.
I understand that you're looking for a clearinghouse of information. I don't know who would collect that. There is a lot of jurisdictions here and a lot of rates, and
we have that one comprehensive sheet of property taxes. That's the only one where we have something where you can see what you're paying, what your neighbor is paying for schools and everything else on there. Doesn't include the income taxes that several of us pay and stuff like that. But I don't know, something like that would be very helpful when we hear things like this in terms of what you guys are working on, how the political subdivision is sharing in that cost, and, you know, do we really end up with getting a different water rate if we're on this side of the street or that side of the street?
Here's the problem, and there's a bit of a problem with that. We can collect that data. That doesn't change our cost any.
No, I understand that.
We actually use factual cost data to establish the rate. The Sanitary Engineers Department is run as an independent profit center and loss center. Now, I probably shouldn't use the word profit because that sends out signals of potentially.
It's an enterprise fund.
But it's an enterprise. Thank you, David. It's an enterprise fund, and money does not get transferred there to pay anything else other than the expenses of that department. And that should give some people an assurance that that's where those funds are going, and quite frankly, it's very leanly run. I don't understand sometimes how Ken Carney and Bob Kleiber get things done over there with the small amount of staff and resources that they have in that department. But collecting that data may make people more aware of what's going on in the communities around them, but it's not going to change the cost structure of operating that department.
No. And apropos of that, I did hear that the escalator is tied to the CPI. There's a senior citizens CPI. There's something that Social Security is run on. I think that might get at the question about fixed income folks better than one tied to the general consumer price index.
Sure.
And you might think about that in looking at how that rate's adjusted, because it is more how fixed incomes change, or at least some do, unless they cut Social Security and all that, and wipe out the IRS. But it just, for when you're dealing with stuff that's based on, you know, that might be based on fixed income rather than consumption, and people who are paying college bills and getting new cars and stuff like that. It's to me, it's a better index to use. Just a suggestion.
Good idea.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. Okay.
I have a motion in a second.
You do?
And are we changing it to June 1st?
I would amend my motion to make it effective June 1, 2016.
I will second that.
Is there any further discussion? No? Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
If it's okay with the board and Madam Clerk, if we could move to item number 30. I see we have Trustee Dick Heidiger here along with Bob Kleiber from the engineer's office. If you could read item number 30.
Accept the road standards for Columbia Township and place them to Lorain County Engineer specification regulations for subdivision development.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay. Any comments?
I was wondering if you had any questions about it, that's all.
Okay.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
You're welcome.
Well, we just didn't want to keep you guys here
Right.
all day.
You didn't have to move me ahead. I'm a fixed income.
He's more
Thanks,
concerned
Dick.
about
I
the
really
sewer
need,
rates.
I really needed that one, Dick. You're up in the ABC streets up there, aren't you? So you're already on that. No, you're not up in there?
I live across the river.
Ah, okay, all right. We'll get to you soon. Yeah.
That's mine.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to Madam Clerk. We go to resolutions.
Number 1? Okay.
Yes.
Investments.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Appropriations.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Transfers.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Travel.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Bills.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners.
Administrator Cortez.
Well, I have a number of issues, ongoing negotiations with the United Steelworkers of America, ongoing negotiations with AFSCME and the DD. I've been in several conversations with Amber Fisher with regard to that. I'm also preparing to have conversations with Scott Ferris of Children's Services with regard to ongoing negotiations there with United Auto Workers. So I have quite a few things to talk about with regard to that. I have personnel issues at Job and Family Services, solid waste, EMA. I also wanted to discuss purchase of real estate.
So just a few things.
Is there anything?
I'm trying to think if I have.
It's everything, isn't it?
If I have anything else. I really think we should tell Tony to order the pizza now.
Well, Tony had to leave.
Oh, well, we can have Sandy, that's fine. But all of those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussions. So to ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session, we talk about those multitude of issues.
Okay, approve and read the reading of the April 19th and 20th minutes.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Amendment Resolution 16216 adopted April 13th requesting the auditor to certify tax valuation for the TV clinic levy. This amendment is to reflect the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I do have one moment for the, Commissioner Lundy, you sent me something, I think it was you that sent me something on the TB clinic from the state.
I don't remember that. I have to go back and look at it. I don't.
Do you know what he's talking
I
about?
got a copy of it yesterday from Sandy, Monday.
Hey,
Who was it
hey.
originally from? I thought it was from you, Matt,
Set
but
a
I,
reminder on it so I can ask
Trying to
questions later.
it had something to do with some state funding.
Ohio Department of Health, something to do with
Department
some
of Health
state
with-
funding, like
and-
$10,000 grant or something.
And TB and a budget to use those funds. I was just wondering.
And Rick's VOT had been copied in prior emails,
Right.
so I forwarded it to him. I'm thinking he needs to fill out the paperwork for it.
The reason I brought it up is that it is potential for about a $10,000 grant, but recognizing that we use several hundreds of thousands of dollars for TB services, So I just wanted to indicate that the need for the levy was not diminished by a small amount of funding from the state. I didn't mean to confuse you, Commissioner. I apologize, but we are following through on that. For the publics that may not have been following this issue, we've reduced this levy before, a few years back. Costs have gone up, as we discussed with sanitary engineering services and sewer rates. We're not increasing the levy. We haven't had some cost increases in the contract that I would consider moderate with Mercy Health. It's a great public-private partnership. Overall, the citizenry is paying about half of what they were paying 5 years ago for similar services. And I hope they come out and they support this. Let me also state, for those that don't know, these services are required under the Ohio Revised Code. Should the levy not pass, the taxpayers still are required to pay for these services. It would just come from a different pool of funds. So there is no choice with regard to these services. People may think that this is a nicety or an optional service. It is not. It is mandated under the Ohio Revised Code.
And I'm checking my outgoing emails, and yes, I did forward something to you from the Department of Health.
I do
regarding
occasionally
this.
pay
Right.
attention to the commissioners.
I know. Well, thank you.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Authorize payment of $1,000 to Boyer and Kuhl Home for funerals, Lorain for indigent veteran Craig Allen Joseph, Lorain in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5901.25.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Accept the withdrawal request from Lorain County Landfill LLC on the vacation request of Butternut Ridge Rd in Carlisle, New Russia Township.
So
If you
moved.
do-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
I
the
jumped
hearing
in
will
there.
not take place on May 30th. if you accept it, so. That was quick.
Do we have to
Go ahead.
notify the residents?
No, once you guys accept this, I'll send a copy to the engineers in both townships so that they are
Yeah, and
informed that way. But
'cause
you
the-
don't have to do anything.
Yeah, just so the public.
Question, did you move?
No.
Yeah, So move.
Second.
Okay. Parliamentarian here.
There you go.
So, no, the difficult part about this information process is that the property that was adjacent, there weren't really neighbors on that property, so for the notification, it was property that was already owned by Republic. And so trying to get the word out to the public's always been a challenge, and it's had to be done at the local level because we weren't necessarily required by law to notify them on everything. So, but I do think we probably, at least for those who have emailed us or mailed us, that they should at least receive the scanned copy or whatever, the letter we received, and maybe forward that to them so that they're well aware. There was a letter to the editor that appeared in the Chronicle on Tuesday inviting everyone to come out to the meeting, so I just want to make sure that everybody's well aware in case they didn't see the article today, that hearing won't be taking place. I'd hate to have people take time away from work or family and show up here and find out there's no meeting.
Well, it's nice to see that Republic withdrew. I don't think it saw any support from the board. I know in my discussions with them, I didn't feel I could support that. I would talk about signalization with them if they're willing to pick up the bill, but not to close the road.
Yeah, I don't know that the public, some of the people that are directly concerned with the issue may be aware. Do you really, maybe we should talk a little bit about their withdrawing because they sensed a lack of support, but
Right.
also, right now, we're working on an agreement to do signaling if we can get it.
Correct, the road use maintenance agreement and everything
Right.
else, correct.
If in fact we can get the signaling and get it in place, and they're going to pick up the cost of that signaling, but that's not a completely foregone, clear line of sight to an endpoint.
No, but it was a discussion point when they were discussing
Right.
with my conversations with them, that would probably be a better option for them at this point.
Sure, and the Board of Commissioners directed those conversations, and you asked them to work on that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that signaling, but we're still not completely sure of that. And they are free to refile the petition should we not be able to get the correct signaling that meets the requirements out there. And I am not an expert in that signaling. I'm hoping that the county engineers department will help out with that, but we have to work on that together, right, Bob? Okay?
And they have a red light and a green light and a stopwatch?
It's very simple. Commissioner Kayla, I don't know why we just didn't talk to you first. I'm sure we could go buy a couple of red and green bulbs at Lowe's and stick them out there and we'd be all set. But
I thought we'd put Ted out there with a flag. Maybe
There you
that
go.
would be
I
workable.
used to do that
They need
years
to.
ago.
They will need to stabilize the road though if they're going to be crossing the road like that. And I just really want to stress that any of these changes I believe should be done at the company's expense, not at the taxpayer's
there'll be some
expense.
agreements that need to be put into place, but it's going to be actively worked upon. I think the board actually sent a clear signal of their support for the community, as well as trying to support a business that employs over 300 people in Lorain County. We can't take that for granted either. I know the residents were worried that that was going to supersede the desires of the voters and the residents, but I think there's a balanced solution that can get to the point we need to get and make everybody somewhat dissatisfied, if not satisfied.
Well, Republic was able to at least have discussion points and willing to look at other options. Like I said, those rumors of road use maintenance agreements aren't uncommon.
Correct.
So if we can put that together with signalization, working with our county engineer on the board and Republic, we should be able to come up with something that should work for them, I would hope.
But I think as Commissioner Kalo pointed out, I mean, it certainly was an uphill and a long shot request. I mean, there's a, legal process involved. As you pointed out, they could always come back and ask for it again. But we've always been concerned about the safety, the residents and, safety concerns expressed by the sheriff and others. And that was always a big, major concern, to even considering having that road closed down.
I just want to echo thanking Republic for listening to not only the citizens, but to our concerns about closing that road as a safety issue and an inconvenience to the people that live out that way or have to travel that way. So, and like Mr. Cortez said, they are an employer in our county, and we need to, show them some respect. But I'm glad that they withdrew this request, and hopefully we can accommodate the traffic that'll be going across that road as they're trying to get dirt from the other side. So,
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
aye.
Approve agreement with New Russia Township to enroll in the county health care benefits program effective July 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2018.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr.
Yep.
Lundy.
Do you have,
Well, we operate the plan, we take all comers. We're usually the choice of last resort. It's very hard for a small community with 3 to 5 employees to find cost-effective solutions to benefits for their folks. We currently have a huge array of villages, townships, libraries, agencies. We even have NOACA in our self-insured pool. We manage that as leanly as possible. I expect expenditures of in excess of $33 million this year through that fund. We have 2,000 contracts with almost 5,000 users. And I'm glad that we're able to help New Russia come in. They've agreed to the reserve requirements like everybody's charged when they come in. I'll work out an agreement to feather that out over a period of time like we have done before. And so I'm glad that we're going to be doing this. The bigger the pool, the shallower the risk.
Would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
aye.
Number 15, airport, authorized grant application to ODOT of Aviation for fiscal year 16 Ohio Airport Matching Grant Program for rehab taxiways A, B, C, and D. Construction, FAA covers 90%, ODOT Aviation covers 5%, and the county shares 5%.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorized grant application to ODOT Aviation for fiscal year 17 Ohio Airport Grant Program for payment, crack sealing, and pavement marking. Eligible construction costs include project inspection and construction engineering costs, but not engineering design costs.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Children and Families Council, I did send you guys an email this morning. This wording needs to be changed, so I'm looking at to submit proposals to Ohio Department of Job and Family Services for Healthier Buckeye Grant pilot program and enter into MOUs with United Way of Lorain County and Energy Up Voltage approved.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, just saw something, an email, they stuck it somewhere here, that they're gonna have a community meeting on that coming up. Did you see it, Teresa?
Thought it was today at 10, actually.
Oh.
Well, there we go.
There was a meeting today at 10.
Well,
I thought
well,
that's what it said. I could be wrong, but there was so many going back and forth.
there was,
this morning,
I
so-
thought I saw the 30th, but I could be wrong too. We're moving at a very, very rapid pace. They didn't give us a large window of opportunity with the Healthier Buckeye Council and then applying for the limited amount of grant money that's out there. The United Way proposal is pretty strong. There was a couple really good proposals. We still haven't completely finished the proposal from
Voltage?
from
Energy
high
up?
voltage, or whatever, energy voltage, or,
Sugar savvy.
but we're still working on that, and we hope to submit the 3 proposals. But this one, I think, has got some serious possibility for funding. So it was nice to see the community react so quickly to try to get into the funding pool and bring some money back to Lorain County.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Community Development, approve the addendum to the loan agreement with Common Ground, the Cindy Nord Center for Renewal. Addendum is reflecting the adjusted loan terms that were approved by Lorain County Economic Industrial Development Corporation March 9th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized purchase service agreement with Centus Corp. to provide a mat rental service in the amount not to exceed $91.42 bi-weekly, effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorized to interagency agreement with Workforce Development Agency for TANF Summer Youth Employment Program, amount not to exceed $1,075,612.81, effective May 1st, 2016 through August 31st, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I have a little dialogue on this, please?
Sure.
I know we only think about 5 people watch this show, but somehow it's a lot more. I'm always surprised when people come up and talk to us about things that we've talked about here. This will be our last summer youth program. Before May 15th, and we have to notify the state at the end of May, we have to go to comprehensive case management with regard to wraparound services. So there'll no longer be a separate summer youth component. We'll actually be incorporating elements of this into a year-round service delivery model, especially with the youth services. That said, I want to reach out, if anybody's listening to this, we need work locations for summer youth. And I'm not talking about just work locations where they go out and they provide free labor. Our commitment to the youth that enroll in this program and our desire from the company is that we develop them, that we work together with a model that helps them mature in the workplace, learn how to dress, how to go to work, how to get to work on time, and how to come back from lunch not 5 minutes late, but on time, so that they can successfully, when ready, when prepared, meet the challenges of a workplace and be successful in that workplace because they've learned the soft skills necessary to be in that environment. You'd be surprised how challenged some folks are to understand that 8:03 is not okay when you're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock.
Jim, to clarify, our youth program is 16 to 24 years of age.
Correct.
So
Okay.
it's not high school kids necessarily looking for a summer job. This is
Mo-
actually.
Most of the summer youth program, though, will be younger folks. So we're looking for locations, and they can contact us up here, and they can contact my office at 329-5760, and we'll refer them over to WDA. The only reason I didn't give WDA's number is because I just don't have it off the top of my head.
3264946.
I can't
They said
recall.
The other day, I had a guy, an employer call me looking for work.
But
284?
284.
1808.
1808. There you
That's
go.
one of the people that I deal with over there, so.
That's one of the people.
I have an internal number that I use, it's a 4-digit, so. But we do need work sites. And also, sometimes, some of these folks are a little bit challenged by transportation, so multiple sites, especially in Elyria and Lorain, would be really, really good for us. But the investment is that they get some work, it's paid for through these funds, but also that they work on the development so that they learn the skills of being there. And we're not teaching particular hard job skills.
Soft skills.
If they learn some of those, that's great. We love some of those jobs. We've had great partners at UH, Elyria. There's a successful program the Urban Leagues run over at Mercy. We have other locations where some of those folks have achieved gainful employment with where they have some work experience. We've had a few here with us that have been able to stay on, or at least we've been able to extend them here. Some of these folks are going to college, and they just need a few bucks in their pocket, and they're willing to work hard to get some money so they can complete that journey and continue on to improve themselves such that they have a passport to success through college education. So please, if there's employers out there, call us, contact us. We want to work with you.
Phone number 440-324-5244.
We always talk about transportation issues, and I thought this was pretty interesting. I don't know if this is something that we would want to pursue, but there's a temporary agency over on Abbey Road that are now have a partnership with Uber. So if an employee doesn't have transportation, they will be picked up and taken to and from work by Uber, and then it will be taken out of their paycheck. So it'll be a deduction from their paycheck. So just to get them on their feet until they do have enough money to buy a car or find other transportation. But I thought that was a pretty ingenious idea of getting people transported to and from work.
Maybe we need to have them come in and make a presentation on
Yep.
that. Some of the transit, now that you bring it up, I just got done having an extensive conversation with the city of Lorain on transportation needs. They're trying to develop some local funds and a local solution to work through the county transit to access matching dollars on a federal level. And we did talk about a few of those communities that have tried to augment their public transportation with Uber. It hasn't been a complete success. It still needs some work, but the potential is there. And willing partners always seem to come up with something that's workable. So maybe if you know about that, we can have them come in and talk to us a little bit. It really would be worth hearing about.
As payroll deduction, these people don't have money up front to pay for these things until they get a paycheck, so.
We have the ability to assist them with some of that. So there is a way, that they're not completely without some resources from us, but this could be a nice service that's provided. Remember, we provide the paychecks to the summer youth. That's through our payroll.
Mhm.
So if you want to have conversation with me, we can certainly talk about it.
Okay.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorized purchase service agreement with Boys and Girls Club of Lorain County for summer camp for low-income children using TANF funds in the amount not to exceed $409,500 effective June 20, 2016 through August 12, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Enter an agreement with Maximus amount of $4,000 to update the cost space report for Job and Families.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under sanitary, approved change order number 1 for Breezy Trucking and Paving Company, Inc. for the Redford Road Force Main Sewer Improvement Project in Columbia Township in the amount of $54,578.10. This will adjust the plan quantities and bid proposal needed to complete the sewer according to the project specifications, plus additional items not included in the bid proposal were determined necessary to complete said project. Final amount of contract will be increased from $2,133,732 to $188,310 and 10 cents.
So move.
Second.
10 cents.
And 10 cents. Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under solid waste, approve the 2016 community incentive grant funding in the amount of $300,000.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Workforce Development, approve and enter an MOU with Job and Family Services and the other primary partners of the United Way, Women Empowered, Educated, and Employed, We3 Community Collaborative.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Domestic Relations, award contract to Restart Construction LLC Elyria in the amount of $117,931 for the Domestic Relations Court Magistrate Hearing Rooms project at the Justice Center. 3 bids were received on March 31st, this being the most complying with specifications, to be paid from the Capital Improvement Construction account. Notice to proceed on or before May 9th, complete on or before September 2nd. Authorize administrator to notify auditor to release retained check completion of project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the engineer, approve and enter in a contract with Burgess and Nyepel, Paynesville, in the amount not to exceed $10,000 to provide on-call consulting services during the Jones Road Bridge 1016 replacement project, Pittsfield Township. 95% will be reimbursed from ODOT and 5% will be paid from the engineer project bridge account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Advertise bids for the Oberlin Elyria Road, Carlisle, and East 31st Street Bridge, Lorain. Notice being the Chronicle on April 29th and May 6th, and open at 2 p.m. on May 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Approve and enter in a subdividers agreement for Hunting Meadow Subdivision Number 1, Columbia Northwest Properties, LLC. Rich Barron is the developer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Advertise bids for chip and seal. Notice being in the Journal on April 29th and May 6th, and open at 3 p.m. on May 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Execute the cooperation agreement between Lorain County and the City of North Ridgeville, agreeing for the county engineer to pay the monthly non-federal share invoice to Terrace Construction and Greenman Pedersen for the Lear-Nagel Road widening and reconstruction project in the City of North Ridgeville. The county will bill the City of North Ridgeville for their local commitment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
As you know,
Finally
I,
get this under
I-
control.
yeah, I sent this back a couple times. I want to thank Bob for working with North Ridgeville. I had a couple issues with regard to, a certainty of who was going to be responsible for what. As you know, I spent a lot of time making sure that we don't have uncertainty in those issues as best we can. I think everybody's intention was right, but I like the paperwork to be right. And so Bob worked with North Ridgeville. It was a little bit frustrating. I was frustrating to Bob, but I did talk to them over there, and he worked out a solution. And I think it's good. And I think everybody understands their responsibility in this, and I don't think it leaves any opening for a later argument over who has to pay for what. I thank their indulgence and the board's. When I removed it, I just wasn't comfortable with it at the time.
Good. Good work.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Cordez?
What a long agenda, Madam Clerk.
She blamed it on you.
I know she did. I know she did. I think she claimed that I finally cleaned off my desk, but that's not really.
That's what she told me.
That's not really the case. It's just sometimes the weeks happen like that. We've seen 2 things, and there was a lot of activity that came up. Other than to remind you about the executive session, I don't have any additional comments this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Innes?
I have no report.
Commissioners report.
I know it's been long, so I'm just going to breeze through this. Last Wednesday, we had our Transportation Improvement District meeting. A couple projects, I think one in Elyria. What was the other project, Bob? Lear-Nagel in North Ridgeville. Thursday evening was the Township Association Spring Banquet, which was held at the Lodge in New Russia Township, which, if you haven't been there before, it's a beautiful facility. Food was excellent, and the people, very nice turnout. Great time there. Monday, I had my Goodwill Board meeting, monthly board meeting. Steve Greenwell is stepping down, so we are going to be having a search for a new CEO of Goodwill of Lorain County. So if you're interested, and give us a call. And then that evening, we had the gala for Dr. Church at Lorain County Community College. 700 to 800 people at the event, and it was in a tent. If you saw the pictures, you would not believe it was a tent. It was absolutely gorgeous. The tent had actual regular doors on the tent. It was a really amazing gala for Dr. Church, well deserved. We'll miss him, and congratulations to Marcia Ballinger, Dr. Marcia Ballinger, for her stepping into that role. Yesterday, we viewed Law Road in Grafton, in which a petition was filed to vacate the road. We had the township representatives there and some of the residents, and they're all in favor of that vacation of the road, so I'm sure that's not going to be an issue. I stopped at the dog pound, like I said, on the way back, and just if you haven't been to the dog kennel, you need to stop out there. It's clean, it smells good, the staff is so professional. He said I was a good luck charm. After I left, there was like major adoptions and owner redemptions. So if you're interested in a dog, please come out to our kennel. And then we had our investment advisory committee meeting after that. And then last evening, I went to the Avon Lake Library. They hosted a drug forum, and it was well attended, and a lot of good information was given at that event. So. And my report.
Yeah, busy week. TID, IEC, Law Road vacation again. Congratulations to the college. What a great event for Roy, and actually more for Bobby Church, because now she gets them back. I was talking to Chris and the daughter, and they're talking about how Bobby had laid out. Bobby is Roy Church's wife. Propaganda for the Dominican Republic, going to Greece.
Yeah, she's a good Long Island girl.
Yep.
Grew up in the same neck of the woods that I did.
50-50 then in Lorain County out of Long Island. 50%
I would,
good, and then we got Jim.
Oh my goodness. Just to expand upon something Laura said, if I may just jump in for a second, it wasn't just a gala for Dr. Church. In his humble and always magnanimous behavior, it was actually a fundraiser for the foundation. Mm-hmm. It is in the name of Bobby and Roy Church. To provide scholarships to business and entrepreneurial students in the future, and I will say that they raised over $3 million.
They did.
So that's right back into the community here, so that some very deserving young folks can have an opportunity to go to college.
Nice.
Also, Hispanic leadership. I did the cocktail party on Friday. I wasn't able to attend the event, but again, nice turnout. New people running it, but Mike and Dina Ferrer were both there. Again, it will carry on. Congratulations again to Dr. Ballinger for becoming the new college president. I also chaired, I come to find out, I am actually the chairman of the Keep Lorain County Beautiful Committee. And we had a meeting last week at Wellington LCCC. It's actually supposed to be the president of the board because I checked with our clerk, but apparently since I serve on solid waste, it's so I chaired my first meeting for that. Actually, Commissioner Kowski, I'll be out of town on a conference next month. We'll be at the ribbon cutting for the gardens at the Turnpike Plaza. You've agreed to do that next month, or I was told you had agreed to.
Who did I say I would do that?
Brandy, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sounds like you got drafted.
So you're going to do that.
What day was that, Ted? Do you remember? Okay.
Well, I'm out of town 18, 19, and 20, so it's one of those three. Also, in regards to the college passing, condolences to the family. Minnie Wade Young passed. Long time educator, involved in the community. Just was an unbelievable woman. I've known that woman probably 40 years. And she's always been involved, and she was a long time Lorain County Community College trustee. So, but Minnie passed yesterday. Condolences to her family. It's just a shame. So there's a lot of news about the college this week. So I think that's it. End of my report. We've been here a while.
I'd like to send my sympathies out to Minnie's family as well, too. She was very helpful to me when I was seeking this office over 20 years ago. And so I've known her for quite some time, and she was active with the LCC board, and certainly will be very, very missed. I want to congratulate the members of the VFW Post 9871 in North Ridgeville. They just recently celebrated their 50th anniversary. Congratulations to them. New superintendent of Elyria City Schools, Tom Jama, did an amazing State of the Schools address. Things are going so well with the Elyria schools. Behind him, they had a big banner, and it was blank, and they had 4 art teachers from the school district draw on the back, just total freehand, of portions of his State of the Schools address. And when they were done, they had this big montage that had all these different pictures, and it was just, you'll have to see the final product. It'll just blow you away. But just a lot of good things going on in the Elyria schools. Can't thank the Elyria community enough for the support of bringing a new high school, new buildings to the community. It's really just changed the whole approach to education here in Elyria. The Legacy of Leadership dinner, just a first-class event as always at LCC, and can't thank Dr. Roy Church enough. Had many of opportunities to interact with him when I was in the legislature and working for the city of Elyria, and he just always said, tell us what you need, we'll get it done. And very humble man, always was a team player, always commended the team for things getting done, and needed to take a lot more credit for the things that got done, but that was always his nature. And but we know we're in good hands with our first woman president of LCC. I've had a chance to work with Marcia Ballinger for a long time, and so we are in very good hands, and congratulations to Dr. Ballinger as well, too. And always proud to say I'm a proud graduate of Lorain County Community College. I don't think I'd be here today with a four-year degree had I not started at Lorain County Community College. Attended the viewing of the Vacation of Law Road the other day there. Even though it was kind of divided up in sections, we got to the right stretch of road. Missed the Senior Fest that was held the other day at Lorain County Community College, but understand that was a good event. And tonight we'll be attending the Meet Your Elected Officials reception that's being held over at Parker's Grill in Avon Lake. And that completes my report.
You guys tomorrow do the Workers' Memorial?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Board correspondence.
I would move that we waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
And then public comment.
Any public comment? Anyone wishing to speak to the board? Yes. If you'll just come up and state your name as we always do.
Hi, I'm Pat Justin from New Russia Township, and I'm glad that the hearing has been canceled. I'm glad they've taken the petition back. But what we would really like you to do today, and I know you probably will not do it, we need you to say to Republic that vacating Butternut Ridge Road will never happen, that nothing that they can bring to the table will make it worth our inconvenience as residents to the residents of Lorain County. We do not want this situation looming over our heads indefinitely, that they can file another petition when they decide that what they come up with an alternative answer is going to cost them too much money.
We'd love to say that, but Jerry, are we allowed to say that? I don't think we're allowed to say that.
No,
Well,
we can't preclude them from bringing another petition, and it then is an evidentiary hearing where we have to hear testimony and make a decision based upon. So, although I think the commissioners have all
They've scowled a lot.
expressed concerns similar to what the
Right.
residents have, we can't. That would be like prejudging some lawsuit before it was filed.
Okay, so I guess it's kind of like New Russia Township trustees last week said, we're against it.
They have no decision
Yeah.
process there, though.
Right.
Right, but at the viewing, you did say that their opinion, as Carlisle Township's opinion, it mattered.
It does.
Part of
And
the hearing.
just so you understand, I wouldn't see the opinion of the sheriff changing, the opinion of, you may be different trustees at the time, but there is a legal, process here, and everybody's afforded, their legal rights, under the law to submit and make any requests they want. But I would expect that you would probably be coming back and still opposed to it.
Yeah.
I would suspect the sheriff would probably come back and still be opposed to it. So I
But
maybe
at
deja vu or Groundhog Day or whatever, but I don't see the
But
circumstances
at this time,
changing.
could the three of you say that you, no?
I think
can't.
legal
We'd
counsel
love to,
just
but we
gave you
can't.
that answer.
Okay, well, I do really appreciate your time in all this matter, and the letter to the editor did have, asking the people to come to the meeting, but it was the wrong date. They put the wrong date in.
Good.
And they put the wrong address in for the count, for the
I
meeting here.
truly believe that a solution is going to be achieved.
Okay.
that, and I always joke about dissatisfying everybody.
Right.
Because there's going to be people now that are going to be mad because they have to stop at a light because the road wasn't vacated. We have the pleasure of always having somebody displeasured at us, no matter what the solution we arrive at is. But generally speaking, I think it's going to be something that's more workable than losing a public road.
Right. And, you know, I have been, I guess you can say, fighting the landfill for over 30 years. And this really, I feel, is our first victory. So I am glad that they have pulled the petition, and hopefully we can get on.
Be humble
So-
in
Okay.
victory, though.
Right.
Be humble in victory.
Yeah.
So when it was said at the viewing that it was a done deal, he had told you that, and it wasn't, so.
Yeah. And
It's nice to know that that was
and
not
he
correct.
did say that. I promise you,
I
he did say
believe
that.
it.
So, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else for public hearing this morning? I would move that we go into executive session, discuss personnel issues that were outlined by the county administrator.
Second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.